welcome to the clan match 3v3 between KC and TDF. As you
I'll
can
dig
see,
up your Twitch stream.
players are picking their civs right now. They're working with their teams. They were given a draft, and we will be going over the map settings in just a moment. And the map settings the players voted on have been determined as turn length will be a 165 timer. We're starting in the ancient era on a Pangea map. They are only allowed to capture one city-state. They have to raise any of the others that they want to get rid of. The wonders Apadana, Venetian Arsenal, and the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus have been banned by the players today. And as far as religious choices go, Crusader and Defender of the Faith have been banned as well. Pantheons, God of the Forge, and God of the Harvest have also been banned. As far as civilizations go, Australia, Nubia, Persia, Rome, Scythia, Sumeria, and Zulu have been voted banned. And as said, the players have moved to their respective team channels so that they can work out what civs they're going to be picking for today's match. A big shout out to all of our viewers out there, whether you're joining us on Twitch, YouTube Live, or over on Binks TV. We can have an excellent match here today where we have amazing players on both sides coming to the table. And representing KC is Ustmip, Stasic, and Skycry, while TDF has brought Von Holio, the Mysterious X, and Tomb Raider to the table. Yep, there's the mod down there for those of the viewers out there that are wondering. The host spectator mod, that's what allows me to do this. Yesterday's event, I didn't have the spectator mod on because they needed me as a player. Have a couple of picks coming out. Mysterious X locking in Pericles, seeing that Ustmip went for Gorgo to balance out the grease there because, remember...
I guess, are you going to commentate with Sarnas?
Greece's unique theater
Maybe,
district,
if
the
you invite
Acropolis, it gives them an
All right, well,
envoy. So
I'll leave you guys be. I got a few things to do around the house this morning. I'll watch the Twitch and text in there if I need to.
you can hear some of the admin staff in the background just making sure that the event starts without a hitch. So this is the second 3v3 match you guys have set up as a formal, pretty much semi-pro setting, Agatha. You guys pretty excited for this match?
Oh yeah, we're pretty excited. I mean, most of us want to play in events generally, so even though CPL is an amazing place to just up in and play whenever you want, most of us like to plan a match and say, okay, we play together at that time. And that kind of fits the, I guess, a 3v3 teamer, that spirit. We're probably going to do a few more as well in the future. We'll probably do another TDF versus OP. I haven't contacted OP yet, but I'm pretty sure they will accept. And then we'll rotate with the other clans again.
It sounds like a great plan, and it's these formal events, these sensual, again, semi-pro setting maps, have really been well received by the community. And it's been pretty awesome to see some of the best players from each of the clans step forward up to these challenges. And honestly, I'm very excited to watch this match. Pretty high anticipation.
Yeah, I think it's such a good idea. It's something that we should bring forward, really, because most players actually want to see how it looks like as well. So if you're not in CPL and you're watching, this is how it looks like, really. Like here we have like some players that are used to our structure, that are used to like the meta game or whatever you want to call it. But like even if you're not used to it, this is what you would expect from playing in CPL. And I think that's what the viewers really like to see. We got a few really good players in as well. Tom is very fun guy. Like I hope you'll get a culture play in this game. He really likes to do those, and Mr. Sex is a very good dueler. So if he duels like really well, maybe we'll see him taking out another player. But at the same time, Usmip is also a very strong player on Casey's team, and Stashish as well is a very known player around.
Yeah, all the players on both sides are excellent, and I've played with all of them at least once, and they've definitely stood out in terms of their skill. And it's going to be a pretty incredible match here. And now, for those of you watching, do be patient. It takes a little longer to load in using the spectator mod because it has to manually flip the tiles into my vision. Unfortunately, we have to use the mod to spectate games because Firaxis hasn't implemented an observer mode into the game yet. I understand what you're saying, but the host mod is important because it allows me to see the entire map. That is the purpose of it, not just to take first meets. But you're absolutely right. They did fix it to where in team games you don't get first meets for city-states.
In a way, also balances the map as well, because first meets sometimes have a huge impact on the game. So if I'm playing and I find that this cultural state first, you get those civic first, and you get even the government first sometimes. And this can be very impactful, especially like given the map if there's a 1v1 situation at somewhere. I didn't check, but is it Pangea map for this one?
It is. It is a Pangea. Alright, and we are loaded in. We're going to take a quick look around the map, make sure no one's in snow. Hey, thank you so much for the support. I hope you appreciate it as much as I do. This is going to be a wonderful match. Hope you enjoy it. Alright, nobody's in snow. This is a playable map, so we are going to be rolling along. I have asked the players to rename their capitals. And we are going to be taking a look around.
It's an interesting choice for civs as well. Like most of them are quite strong situationally. Like there's no civ that are insanely strong except maybe Korea in my opinion. But like if you take Chandragupta for example, in a dual setting, in a team setting, it's a very interesting choice because its bonus is actually quite hard to hit. So you cannot really declare a war and get the movement bonus unless you let the other team does it right. But there's Germany as well, very good sim save. So curious to see how it's gonna go.
Definitely, and I'm clicking off all of these pesky notifications now since I don't really need to, know how I got my era score as the observer since it's not important.
Actually, you're already in the golden age. Look at you.
I know, right? I'm just that amazing. I just start perfect. So over here in the west here is Skycries Japan, and he is representing KC today. Has a horse nearby, some excellent hills, has a sheep pasture there, and the rainforest here on the Plains Hill that he will very likely be chopping. And remember, rainforest is half food, half production, while a woods is full production. Does have some more pastures out and about, 2 more horses to the north, one of the religious natural wonders to the far north.
He's also in a Pangea by himself. Well, not a peninsula by itself, I should say. So he should not be too threatened early on.
He should be very safe. However, just across the pond, so to speak, is Tom Brader's India, and he is playing Chandragupta. I probably butchered that so bad you could buy it in a shop. But looking at Tom's land, look at that beautiful sugar in the marsh there. That's a 5 food on its own. He's going to have so much growth in that city. Going to hit 2 pops super early. Probably transition over to his production tiles after that. So he can work these 2-3s and 1-3 tiles. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's a very good strategy as well, but he's going to lack housing early on as well. So he'll probably need a builder or eventually an aqueduct to get a good city there.
Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get the river settle on the hill. He's going to have to go here to get the benefit of this natural wonder. But having a natural wonder with gold and science this close is incredibly potent. And his ally of Germany is relatively nearby as well, so they'll be able to help each other out a bit. This is going to be especially important with Gorgo being so close. Gorgo tending to want to be much more aggressive, take full advantage of getting culture on kills.
So who is Gorgo? Who is Germany?
Germany is being played by von Holio, and Gorgo is being played by Oostman. Look at these beautiful bananas. I mean, our Germany player is going to have to do a lot of chopping, but that's not necessarily bad. But because Magnus being introduced in Rise and Fall, that really changes things up a bit. We could see a whole lot of builders flooding out for our German player here.
And like Magnus, you can get it quite early as well. If you just rush towards the civic booster that the First Empire, you get the first title right there, and then within like 15 turns or 20 turns, you get Magnus in your city already. So there's a few strategies that goes around it. If you just rush for 6 population, which is easy with bananas, then you can get the boost for it and basically do it on 2 or 3 cities as you want.
Yep, and taking a look at Gorgo's start here, I'll answer that question in just a moment, Ms. Donian. Is you see these beautiful 2-2 tiles. There's a good pasture to work here. The beautiful, beautiful banana there, 3-2. Our Spartan player, pretty much, yeah. Our Spartan player here, as Gorgo, is going to have amazing growth. Tobacco right up there. Look at that culture grabs right away by the city on turn 5. He can work that and get a super, super early Pantheon, unless someone swipes them all with goody huts. And to answer your question, Ms. Donian,
I like
that's why I
usually
have it
to
set
go
to
for Pantheon
2,000.
early
That's
on,
how much
but
the
I find that
lawyer
the
wants.
tobacco tile isn't really the good way to do it. Like, so it's probably still taking the bananas. Because the value of a Pantheon is great, but in a 3v3 setting, you're not guaranteed a good Pantheon anymore. So, like, it's not necessarily a good thing to rush it if you have teammates rushing it as well.
Yep, and that's not just donations that's in that pile. That's money that I take out of my monthly check that I can save and I put in there as well. But thank you for asking. I appreciate the thought. And moving right along here, no one's in the northeast. We do have Korea here with plenty of land to her north. I say her because it's a female leader. I know Stasic isn't a woman. But look at this land he's got. Got a lot of some marsh here. The 3-2 banana here. Have some citrus at home and 2 pastures close by for cattle. That's going to be some really fast growth in these cities. And a whole lot of chops for Magnus as well. A lot of our players are going to have to go for bronze working because of all this jungle.
I think so far Korea has the best spawn. So much land, you can do whatever you want. And growth also means more settlers out quicker as well. So he's probably going to spawn settlers and like be protected by his teammate, right? Because he's the same team as Gorgo.
Yes, but Pericles is right down here, not that far away. And Pericles has a horse near the capital, and another one further up the river. So we could see Pericles try to horse Korea down.
I think that would be the safest way to do it, but at the same time, he doesn't know where Korea is, and he's probably going to scout north once they find out where Gorgo is. My bet is they'll try to take Gorgo out as like team up. Let's say Pericles and Germany player.
Oh, for sure. And taking a look at Pericles' start here, not just the horses, but has a beautiful marsh rice there. Some good hills, of course, as the natural for Greece. And double sheep pasture here, not that far off, one getting grabbed by the culture of the city. Going to see some very fast growth and production.
It's a good location, and you know that Greece has like a hill bias, so that's why they get so many hills around their cities really often. Although with the mod, it doesn't always like show this way, but it's still like pretty respectful. And since the map is a new world age, then each player should have enough heals, plenty of heals to have a decent amount of production. And I love also that wonder right there, the Milfordstown or the Piopitahi, right south of Germany. I think it's one of the best wonders in the game, so I'd be curious who would settle it. If I were in this game, I would like really Germany to settle that spot.
It's pretty far for Pericles to readily defend. At
Yeah.
least very early, he'd have to send at least 2 settlers over here just to get one on the river and one here, just so we'd have a buffer, so to speak, to protect it. Odd shape to the landmass around the Piapiatahi this game. Normally you'd see it branch out a little further, so it's going to be interesting to see where the players want to settle this. I mean, honestly, this gypsum settle would be incredible, but
There's no fresh water, so it kind of like blocks it a little bit.
well, there usually isn't a freshwater settle near one of these because it's always coastal. And honestly, it's not close enough to the river to aqueduct settle. And the ideal settle for this city is actually right here next to the gypsum on this 1121 tile. But you'll never get water to it. For Germany, that's okay because they're just going to Hans the formation the crap out of it anyway. They don't really care about fresh water. But Germany probably won't settle it because look at all these floodplains. You can't put districts there unless you're Egypt.
He doesn't need to settle it at all. You just like if you just look even at the jungle north of him, you could get more chops if he goes for Magnus as well, and then you would get such a big army or such fast districts, whichever one you will try to do first, and then from there, if he manages to hit his Hansas and hit maybe like knights, it's a very strong timing, and the map really allows him to hit all the other players basically.
I'd really like to see Skycry do a 5 or 6 city empire on this peninsula. Just lock this whole area down and just sim. Not even explore this way. Just sim. Just put this scout on this hill, put it on alert status, and just sim. That's all he has to do, and he knows it too. Look at his scouting. He's done a great job exploring this peninsula out. He knows there's nobody here. No one's remotely near him. He could just sit back and be super greedy.
I think it's gonna go down to Japan versus Korea. I still, even though Pericles is in range for Korea, we'll see how it plays out. But it's gonna be two very big sim civilizations, and
Japan and Korea are on the same team.
Oh, I'm so bad. I didn't realize. Okay, well then it's all about like Korea and its teammate holding ground for Japan to really to win the game. Because if, in a team game, if you get one player ahead, you could potentially kill all other three players, right? So it's a different mentality. Like not every player needs to be like very strong and very far ahead. If you have one player which is really behind but has to put another player behind, it's still worth it. So like it's a different like way to approach the game, the map. First settler out also for Chandragupta.
That's right. Probably going to go right here to grab the best tiles off because he can settle another one up here and grab the rest.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do as well.
He's already scouted it, so he knows the terrain up here. Which is weird. He sent his warrior here, moved it back down, put his scout through here as well, and then sent it east instead of fully exploring the northern area. However, Usnup's going to be seeing this as well soon.
Well, it's probably like trying to find the other units. So this is a pattern, right? So he has an unescorted settler, or will have one. But since he has done ample scouting, he knows exactly where the units are. So he might need to get a new unit to block it to escort the settler, but maybe he won't, depending. Because Gorgo doesn't necessarily know there's an unescorted settler yet either. And I'd be very curious to see if he actually chooses to go for a religion play, Chandragupta, because there's a way to utilize a wonder for a +2 adjacency for a holy site. But Chandragupta isn't that strong of a religious civ, even though they have this slight bonus with like step wells.
God of the Open Sky picked up by Korea this turn as well. And that's going to be +3 culture in the capital after the pastures come online. Not much in the way of pastures outside of the capital, though, so I'm surprised to see that Pantheon picked. As you can hear, my daughter is just as thrilled as I am to be here today.
Yeah, but the thing is, even if it doesn't have that many pastures, it still prevents the other team from getting it. So there's like another way to do it. Like maybe he scouted that like this Greece player, which basically has few sheeps, could get it, or if anybody other player would probably get it as well. It's one of the most popular anyway.
Oh, it's incredibly powerful. Oh, the starting era
That
is
is true,
voted on by the
Hombre.
players.
We actually tried a few times to get classical eras, even medieval and Renaissance eras, like game started lately. But players really often like to still start in the ancient. So we're probably going to do both for a while still. I played in Renaissance era like 2 weeks ago. It was a very fun game, but it was much quicker. So it just depends what you'd like to do.
I'd like to see Lady of Reeds and Marshes picked up by our German player. He just has so much floodplains out here.
He would get such a big city with a decent amount of production quite fast if he does so. And if he decides to also go for a settler in his capital city and bring it straight to his second city, then he could potentially make it even bigger than his own capital city. Just looking at the floodplains right there. And could even maybe get a Petra. Yeah, well, districts is not the only thing you have to think about. Even though it's true with Germany, like it's so strong. If you have an insane amount of population, you also get science and culture from the population, even though it has been nerfed.
Hey, thank you so much for the support. I hope you enjoy the match as much as we are casting it today. Looking forward to an excellent match here.
Well, thank you, Sonnet, for joining us, really. I'm glad to see you here. And I wasn't sure if it was going to start up, but finally, like all the players were so hyped for it. And even I think the whole community was quite hyped for that match. So I'm really expecting to get the many people like commenting or asking questions about it. If you have any questions, feel free to really like message any TDF or any KC really, because most players in both clans really enjoy talking about like all those game mechanics and what their thought process is or after the match.
Definitely. And yes, it is Ombre. I play a wide variety of games, not just Civ. Look at her on the map. Wow, Usmip is skirting the settler way. Must have kept it just out of vision. I thought Von Holio's scout would have seen it since it was on a hill as well, but I guess that is not the case. Hill vision's really finicky in Civ, I've noticed. It's a little bit better in Rise and Fall. But sometimes you can or can't see another unit that's on a hill when you're on a hill. And then there are some times when you can see the unit on the hill when you're not on a hill, which doesn't make much sense.
Well, it's really weird because also the forest also influence the vision. So if there's a forest on a hill, you might be able to see the unit, but if there's no forest, then you might not be able to see it, which is a little weird the way it's designed, I guess. Although this settler is like in slightly trouble, maybe it's going to be delayed for 1 or 2 turns if he wants to settle exactly where the scout is for Pericles.
Yeah, definitely. And Ombre, the Civs that were banned are Australia, Nubia, Persia, Rome, Scythia, Sumeria, and the Zulu. And those were voted banned by the players in the lobby, so these were not predetermined settings.
To really block a settle, you only need 1 scout, really. So if Greece wants to really get that settle spot, they would need to get with a third unit out. So he has already 2 scouts nearby that scout, but it's not enough to block him. Because if you hit 2 scouts on the scout, then you still the scout gets a promotion, he heals up, so you still delay the settle for at least 5 or 6 turns. Or you force to settle somewhere else.
I'd like to see Pericles settle right here on this hill and aqueduct over the wheat. Grabs
That
both
could be
of these
really
hill
strong.
gypsums. Look at all these beautiful 1/3s that he would grab with that.
Yeah, a very good sell spot. And even if he doesn't aqueduct straight away, it's just so much production. You have enough production to get your granary, to get 2 extra housing, and to get all those like 1/3 forests as well behind once you grow. And with Magnus, it's so easy to like once ever it's done in this city, you can move Magnus to this city, get 3 more chops, and like basically build districts or build like any units you'd like or would need. Yeah, there's no really there's no food though in that settle, but there's still like a way to chop a granary. That's what I would do. But at the same time, maybe I'm not a pro player either. Maybe it's not a good decision.
Well, there are ups and downs to it. And as you can see here, there's not a great deal of food, but it will reach out to the crab. You can put a fishing hut there. That'll provide more food. Or you could aqueduct this hill. Instead of the wheat, you could farm the wheat for more food.
Yeah, it's at the same time you could even do instead of that settle, you could do in 2 cities. You could settle the river on the right of the Weath, and you could settle another city right next to the Wonder, the Milford Sound Wonder. So you still get the 2 3/3 tile, 1/3 tile, and you also get the culture and the gold from it.
It depends, Hustle, because you can run trade routes originating in that city and internalize your trade routes, and it'll get that city more food as well. So there are ways around dealing with low food tiles. You just need to think outside the box a little bit.
You could even, if you want to, it's not very popular, but you could chop the Weath with Magnus. And this gives almost 2 population nowadays. So it's like 1 population and a half if you're on 1 population. So it basically gives you 1 extra population and 1 extra tile you can work on. So really
Oh.
early on, you could get so much food. You cap out very early in your city, and then you get all those production tiles if you want to get a granary or any units or district you need.
And it looks like Tom is going to settle on the Mercury instead of that flat tile there. I figured he'd want the more immediate effect of the natural wonder tiles. However, this does open up the wheat settle for him.
He might still buy the tile though, so he's not out of range. It's probably just an investment of 30 gold at this point of the game, or 35 gold. And given the fact that he could like and there's like that 1/3/1/1 tile as well next to the wonder, so that's probably what he would buy if I were him.
Oh, absolutely. Japan getting his settler into position as well. Lots of rivers here for some fresh water. Unfortunately, they're right next to each other. But Japan doesn't have to echo away from being coastal. Having cities on the coast of Japan is easier to defend for them because their units get that combat bonus being in or next to coastal tiles.
But Japan is so safe that I don't even know if you will need that combat bonus, right? And there's no other coastal civs besides maybe Chandragupta, right? So I don't think we will see much of naval warfare in this game.
It's going to be really interesting to see the decisions the players make because the land is so oddly shaped. There's desert scattered all over the place. Like it looks like one of my kids picked up a handful of sand and ran through the living room with it.
Ouais.
And don't forget that, Japan's Sim City is ridiculously strong. And with all being alone like that and having the land shaped in the way it is, it's kind of rounded, this green area. I mean, he could set up some really, really nasty diamonds, just like a Germany would. And he has some mountains here scattered, pretty beneficial for him. He'll be able to get some really, really nice campuses.
Well, I think really Japan is going to lead this game. So if his team survives, he might still be able to win it on his own, depending on how he plays it out. But at the same time, the other team has a good shot at winning still, I think, because like since it's going to be basically a 3v2 on the mainland, Japan also is quite far, so you cannot intervene that quickly into any warfare. So it's both like a good and a bad thing that he's so far from all the other players. You could still send gold, which often is what we do in teamers. So like if there's a player that is safe, you probably just send all the gold to those players who need it. And Japan is in a good position to do so.
And it looks like, oh wow, this
Already
is
some
one.
more happening, huh?
This is a ballsy play. He's gonna drop this city right into space. Mysterious
I
X
think it's a
going
good
right
play.
to Stasic.
But I think it's a good play because you don't want to let Korea sim, right? That's almost the worst mistake you could do. And if you don't let them use their bonus, Korea is basically actually quite a weak civilization because without their campus, they don't have much. They have the Watcha, but the Watcha is relatively late well, compared to this stage of the game. So he might be able to hurt him enough before he hits the Watcha to really like irrelevant him. We will see. I don't think they declare war yet, no.
There's no declaration yet, which is kind of interesting because it would have put zone of control. Because you can't move and settle if you're at war and you're moving to an enemy unit's sling, even if you're linked up.
But the Slinger doesn't give a zone of control either. So the Scout could have given a zone of control if you moved the Scout. So there's no because like the Slingers is like a range unit, and range units don't give any crowd control like bonus until they get a promotion. I think it's level 2 promotion.
It's actually level 3. But remember, settlers are civilian units. They're affected by all military units.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, Ombre, actually there is. And the famed American Scout Rush is a prime example of that.
Some people still do it with Kree nowadays. So
Declare, take the builder. Take it. It's free.
He has no movement yet, though. It's gonna be next turn.
That doesn't make me want him not to take it any less. Alright, third settler coming out for Usmip. He's really taking advantage of that production there, and as well as the huge growth he has in his city. Actually picking up Earth Goddess Pantheon, so he'll be accruing some faith throughout the game.
Nowadays, Fate has been like quite useful also in Rise and Fall. There's so many ways to use Fate. So her Goddess is now one of the top tier pantheons, I think.
God of the
It's gaining
Sea.
a lot of popularity.
God of the Sea gets picked up by Japan. Going to take advantage of all the fish, crabs that he has along. Plenty of reefs, too. Look at that amber. It's really nice. He's going to have a very enjoyable start. I don't really agree with the settle and Sendai, but hold on. Okay, he could still fit another coastal over here.
Maybe he's looking to expand outside his peninsula as well. So if he goes for bigger cities, you can have more space if you don't like min-max the distance between cities as well. And you still get a good campus spot behind those mountains, so it's not too bad.
I mean, honestly, in Rise and Fall, having one or two holy sites built isn't such a kick in the shin as it used to be. Because, I mean, religious bonuses mean more now, because not only the faith generation being used, and this city's going to flip in 15 turns, so Mysterious X better have a plan.
He needs to put a governor there. He needs to get maybe a card to make sure it doesn't flip. And if he stations a unit, it's +2 loyalty per turn. So it will probably delay it to about 30 turns, which should be okay.
And another thing about the religious bonuses is things like stewardship and that only provide like a +1 are those really small bonuses that you don't think really matter unless you heavily invest. Those mean more now because the game's so much slower. And speaking, there is the first of the campuses coming down, the Watchtower.
I think the
Say
best thing
along,
about
sorry.
religion is really the dedications now, because with era score, each era you get to choose if you're either, well, if you hit the dark age, you have special policies, but if you're the golden age, you also have different dedications you can choose from, and many of them are fate related, and often are the strongest one. Well, strongest one. It all depends on like the map type or your strategy, but since fate has been seen as slightly weaker, those dedication really helps you push out some settlers sometimes or builders to expand quickly
War
or to spread your
declaration.
religion. War declaration. Oh,
KC declares on TDF. And this scout is getting smacked around and told to get lost.
so in teamers you don't see war declaration that quickly sometimes because you give a bonus to the opposite team. When you declare war, you gain that like well, you get declared on, you get the half off on that one policy. But here, I think it was inevitable. Like that fort settle is basically like puts Korea on a very tough spot.
And that bonus will go to defensive tactics, and TDF will enjoy that. Archers being upgraded from the slingers in Ephesus here. We're going to see an archer rush. Turns until the next era hustler, 10 to 12. Haven't had the real countdown just yet. But these archers are going to do some real damage.
Oh yeah, and I'd be curious: is the Defender of the Faith and Crusader banned this game or no?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because Mysterious X has been known to play around with those a lot, but if they're banned, you cannot really use Crusader here, which would have been a very strong push. If you do a Crusader plus Archers, you basically kill an enemy in this situation.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's... Archers are oppressive enough on their own. They're amazing ancient era units. Just scrolling around the map here to see what the other players are doing real quick while things die down is upgraded units can't move or attack. Their movement points are spent being upgraded. Another settler coming out for Japan. He's just looking to really eck out all of his land and enjoy. However, Tom Brader will find him soon. Tom has 3 cities of his own, and his land is very strong. The tiles are excellent. Taking a look over at Usmip's area now, he's really making the most of his area. He does have iron here. Highlighting that for you guys right there. We can tell because of the science node there. Here we go, top of turn 20. We have archers coming online. We have warrior escorting the builder here. This scout is not going to get much done.
Thing is, the map is quite big, so except for that Pericles against Korea, I think we still have to wait a little bit before we see any early wars, any early action.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're going to be keeping the map panned over there for the most part. We are going to take a quick look over at Germany here, who is being hazed a little bit by one of Usmip's warriors. But Von Holio has a warrior and a slinger over here, so that'll get cleaned up or chased off in short order. And he is going to see with this scout that this settler and warrior are coming to drop another city.
Looking at Germany, actually, maybe he could have gone also for the culture from plantations as a pantheon. Since he has so many bananas and cocoa, this would have given him an edge. And culture is actually quite strong in the new expansion. Almost on par with science, I would say.
Especially so because of the meritocracy card being lost. Every point of culture is so much more important now. And he hasn't picked the pantheon just yet. So we'll have to wait and see what he ends up deciding on. Archer actually fortifies in Ephesus. Rebellion's going to be in 11 turns.
I think it will hold. If he gets a governor in there, which he probably will get the victor for +5 comeback strength, or basically Magnus if he doesn't need Magnus to chop so far. It's a +7 per turn, but it's instant. So as soon as he sends it there, even if he's not stationed, he already gets a +7 loyalty per turn.
I think we're more likely to see Victor. He doesn't have a lot of chops in his capital, only the one, and he only has. He has a. I mean, you could chop the copper for gold if you really wanted, but that's something you do later on in the game.
Oh yeah, he won't put he won't put Magnus in there to chop. He would probably just put it if he doesn't have another governor, just to keep it from flipping. But Victor is definitely a better choice in that situation if he keeps on fighting Korea. And Victor stations in only 3 turns as well, so it's actually quite interesting to see. Because like it means that within 3 turns, those 2 archers would be able to basically defend the city and pin down units most probably.
Well, that depends. Victor's starting benefit is giving the city +5 combat strength. He needs to be promoted to give the units in the territory +5.
Well, yeah, but like I'm assuming that like if he plans on forward settling and he plans on using Victor, it could be beneficial to actually get those +5 quite early on. This is a very greedy push. It's greedy to the point I'm not even sure if it's worth it, but we'll see how he makes it worth. If he gets a few horses plus the +5 from Victor plus the +5 from the card, he could probably 1 or 2 shot the units very easily. And then it would put Korea in a very difficult situation.
I mean, if he makes a hoplite to get the bonus for the era score, it would ensure him getting into a golden age, and that would prevent him from ever losing this city.
That is true. That's actually probably what he's going to do. I didn't think about it.
Because making your unique unit does provide you a hefty chunk of era score. And being the first to put out a certain unit, like the first to get an archer out, the first to get a horse out, you get a hefty chunk of era score for that too. And it's very, very monumentous. You get 5 points for making the first of a unit.
Yeah, and he also gets 1 point for forward settling, which I find is funny. So he's probably guaranteed like a golden age for the first era.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Germany having to make a handful more units as well here. Usmip getting ready to work that iron. Nothing really standing out in Tom's land. He does have a trade route going though, so his internal economy is going to be pretty rock solid. We're going to take a look at the player's gold incomes and such around turn 25 to 30. Going to give it a little time to actually develop. Japan has iron as well here in his capital. He's getting ready to put a mine down on that.
Yeah, I'm reading what one of the viewers says. It's actually very true. If you go Korea, wait for Magnus, chop out those campus once you get Magnus. So you don't need to rush them early on. And you will probably get help from his team as well to hold the line, probably from Japan, which Japan can send all his gold to like Korea and probably his iron. So Korea should be safe. We'll see, but I think the goal of Pericles here is just really to slow down Korea as much as he can. That's the only reason why I would see you settle the city right there.
Warrior comes out of Ephesus, definitely going to be turned into a sword. Archer's moving forward to be aggressive. This one's holding the hill. We have a settler coming in back at home in the capital. That'll be escorted by the warrior. And we do already have one Seoan up by Korea. So that'll give a Korean player a pretty hefty science lead. +4 this early in the game is incredibly detrimental. That being the case, we do have lots of improvements going on in the other cities. 2 builders run around for Usmip here. And he's moving his warrior onto the horse, likely to buy that tile or wait for the culture grab if he's not going to buy it, so that he will have this horse for his team. However, our Chandragupta player has 2 horses here. He just has to grab the tiles and improve them, and he'll have 2 horses for his team. Encampment coming down for Tom Brader as well. So we could see some general shenanigans.
What could be interesting is if we see a Chandragupta go for a Varu push, which is a relatively late timing, but very strong one because the Varus gave -5 to all units around. So if he pushes against Gorgo, he could just put Gorgo on hold. But the thing is, Gorgo also has hoplites, and hoplites can hold Varus very easily. So I'm not sure if he's actually going to go for like a Varu push.
Well, it depends if he can line them up or not to give him that +10 for being adjacent to other hoplites. Because Varu is applying the -5 to adjacents really adds up and hurts. But take a
Yeah,
look
it
at the
stacks.
Pantheons that got picked up here. City Patron Goddess gets picked up by Mysterious X, and he is dropping an encampment down in Stasich's space. And just like we thought, Lady of Reeds and Marsh is picked up by our German player. He's going to have amazing growth in production in these cities early, and early game is where Germany's weakest, so he's really working to patch up the weaker part of his civ. And that's going to give him an incredibly strong mid-game, and another encampment coming down from Stasich as well, matching the aggression here.
Yeah, I think those two Pantheons are the best choice that were available to them. The city patron Pantheon for the encampment. This is interesting. It means that he could potentially finish his encampment like 1 or 2 turns earlier. But the best way to utilize it usually is to go for 2 or 3 districts in your city and finish them all at once. So like you build it up to, let's say, 1 turn, and then you do the second district up to 1 turn. And after this, once it's over, you finish that 1 turn district, 1 turn district, 1 turn district to really abuse the 25% production boost.
Alright, Slinger's getting upgraded into Archers. Mysterious X does get a hit off on the Slinger before it can move back and upgrade. So that will be a wounded Archer out the gate. Retreats his own Archer back since Stasich's Archer has a hill there to hide on. This is definitely... I'm not too sure if Mysterious X is going to be able to keep this aggression going.
He must have a plan. I mean, he only has 2 archers there and a warrior. He wouldn't have done that if he hadn't something in mind. But I'm with
Well,
you
there's
here.
another
I'm not sure.
encampment coming on back home.
Yeah, so maybe he's going to rush a general. Did we see? Is it the general rule A for this game?
It is. They have to stay within territorial borders, but he does have a city in Stasich's space.
So yeah, so he could use the general against Korea's cities. So maybe that was his plan in forward settling. But still, it's a very long shot because Korea. Well, Usmip playing Korea is a very strong player, and he knows how to defend.
Usmip is playing Gorgo.
Who's the Korean player?
Stasich.
Oh, Stash is a very good player as well, and he probably knows how to counter a early push like this.
Yep, and there's a hoplite coming out for Usmip, just taking in that era score there. And we do have the era ending in 8 turns. We'll take a look and see who is going to end up where.
Do you think anybody's going to try to go in a Dark Age early on or not?
It's really hard to hit a Dark Age in the classical era. Just trying to build up naturally ends up putting you in a normal gauge usually, or a golden age in some cases. So it almost as if you'd have to shoot yourself in the foot in order to hit the Dark Age first.
Yeah, especially in teamers, because you meet when in with the All Spectator mod, you already have 4 score right off the bat on turn 1 for meeting the spectator and 2 of your teammates. 3 error score. So then you only need 9 to get to a normal age. So that means that you need to find less than 2 wonders and like a couple that's.
You have to be very detrimental to your scouting for that. And here we go, Archer coming back, taking a shot on the scout here. The scout's desperately trying to block this settle, but it is not going to work. 2 warriors moving up with the settler as well. That scout is going to have to get out of there. But if he can't see it from his position, but if he gets lucky, he could grab a builder here. And yes, there are 2 commentators for this game. I am joined by TDF's Agathy.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be impartial here, but my team is in this, so I'll try to not cheer TDF too much.
Could Japan get cut off from the rest of his team? Absolutely he could. But there is a lot of dead space here. And yes, a lot of this is flat, but getting units to go this far is very detrimental, and you don't ever want to try and do oceanic travel against Japan because they get a +5 bonus for being near the coast. So it's like fighting into a general, and if Japan has a general, you're in a world of hurt because that's a +10 combat strength difference at that point before any modifiers of support and flanking, before anything like anti-cavalry against cavalry, any of the counter units, and you only need a difference of 30 to one-shot a unit. So you're literally handing him a third of it by trying to attack over the water. And there is a second iron there for Japan. It's not online just yet, but he's going to have extra horses, iron to give his team, and that's invaluable. Even though he's off on his own, if he doesn't need those resources right away, all he has to do is kill this scout off of Tom's and just put some units here to block off of this choke point, and he can just build up as much as he likes. And he's going to be able to give those resources to his team for their war.
The only thing that is detrimental when you settle like Japan right now is that it's quite vulnerable to religious play, which I doubt we will see this game. But if Chandragupta decided to go religion, he could easily convert Japanese cities. Since missionaries are quite hard to kill in water, you need boats to do so. And then if his other teammates decide to go for a religious victory, then that means you only have like 2 more players to convert or kill. So that could be an option.
Where's the settler going to go? On the hill, maybe?
I think it's going to go on the hill.
I don't think it's going to go where the scout is. It's too far. That -20. The city will flip in 3 turns.
He's probably going to go on a hill. He probably just wants to set up a front with Korea. Really, the goal of Mr. X is to delay as much Korea as possible and to make him as irrelevant as possible in this game.
That being said, Stasic is walking a settler backwards here. He has tons of land to his north and knows it. So they're like, fine, You're going to settle in my face. Well, I got plenty of room back here. I don't care. I'm just going to hold you off and do what I'm doing.
That is true. So I think it's almost a lost cause. We'll see. Thing is, if he somehow manages to push, then it would put his team very in front of it. But looking at the terrain, there's some marsh if he wants to push. There's some forests and hills which Korea could utilize to defend. So it's going to be very, very hard. He probably needs knights at least to push into Korea. But by that time, Korea will hit his watch as we were saying before. So Korea is the best defensive.
It's going to be really interesting to say the least, though. I mean, this archer's taken some heavy hits from Stasic's here. And if he's not careful to move this archer out of the way, it's going to take another heavy hit. It's got about 2 hits left in it before it dies to this archer. Navy pressure. That's not Aztec, that's Chandragupta's India. I know the colors are very similar, though, Pizza. Oh, he does have more iron up here as well to give his team. So both teams have plenty of resources to throw around. And then the turnover happens, I'm going to go through the players and see what they have to work with as far as their gold income goes. Because if you're going to war this early, your economy is going to take a huge hit.
In that sense, that's why I really like Japan's position, because Japan can finance his whole team, right? If he decides to go with all those fishing boats, he can make so much gold so quick. And he has this production from fishing boats as well. So he could even rush cartography to get +2 gold from all those fishing boats. And if he does so, he would basically on his own be able to find the 100 gold per turn easily in the medieval age.
Oh, absolutely. And I'd love to see it anyway, just to see him hit Tom's capital with a caravel. There's no way he'd see it coming.
There's only one tile to hit Tom's capital, but could be enough because archers can't really push back caravels. You need like a bombard or something to really kill a caravel,
You
which
need
is really
artillery
unlikely.
units to do that. Like, even catapults aren't going to... Well, catapults could do if you have a few of them. But you're going to need 4 or 5 crossbows to push off a caravel. Or a couple heavily promoted ones. But that's not going to be the case in this game. Von Holio upgrading his slingers to archers as well. telling Ushmip's warrior to get lost. Those are my bananas. But it's just going to promote and laugh at him.
Well, there's another unusual strategy that some players try as well. Is you can go for 2 bombards to get another boost for attack boost, and 2 bombards can easily push back caravels. So if he decides to do so, Chandragupta should be safe. But I'm really curious to see the Germany against the Gorgo war as well, because it's going to pick up very soon. Like the
That's a
borders are
lot
quite
of
close.
hoplites.
Yeah, a lot of hoplites.
He's seen warriors and archers. Why would he make hoplites? Even side by side, they're still at a deficit.
Well, maybe he doesn't. He made the warriors to upgrade into swords, but he decides to get a support bonus from hoplites as well, just to be sure to get arrow score. Or maybe he just wants to hold the line on one side, fortify 2 hoplites, and push with swords on the other side, which could be done.
And Mysterious X angry because he got first moved. Crowd cheering wild for the hoplite use this game. Never seen people so excited to see hoplites. Look at all this faith he's accruing. Like, I want to take a look here. We're going to go from the top to bottom here, starting with Gorgo. Sitting at 98. 10 gold a turn, definitely not bad. Has a luxury there in cotton. Has 1 iron. That's definitely not bad. We're going to go to the next teammate here, Korea. 19. No gold per turn that's visible. Might be negative. Does have a relic, though, that he picked up from a goodie hut.
Or maybe got it traded as well. In Teamers, it's quite often, once one player gets a relic, you just trade it to the other players for them to get a Pantheon. So that must be where he got it from.
Horse and Iron online for Japan. Only 4 gold a turn, sitting on 15. So pretty much just flooding his gold over to his team. Not a surprise there. Germany making 15 a turn with 47 banked. Taking a look over at Pericles now. 78 with 8 a turn. Still doing good in the eternal economy there. 67 and 8 a turn from Tom Raiders India. So as you can see, the teams are feeling the blow of this early war because they are supporting their teammates' war here, especially the Pericles Korean war over here. And Korea, Stasic does get the encampment up first, but it looks like the one in Athens completed a similar time. So we'll have to wait and see who is going to get this general, and it looks like a project's already been checked out by Mysterious X.
The first general is actually quite crucial in that war, because since it's been so early aggression, whoever gets the first general might be able to get a unit off the opponent team, or get a better position simply, because you still get the movement bonus. And which first general is it? I didn't get to check. Is it like Sun Tzu?
It is Sun Tzu, so we will see him retired later on in the game for the great work. But remember, archers are ancient era units. They don't benefit from the general.
That is true, but there's going to be swords soon, and it's probably going to hit the general at the same time he hits swords timing with some gold, which is most likely what he's planning to do right now.
Yeah, you could see him banking the warriors over here in Pharsalis. This early aggression, even if it doesn't get much done, anything to delay Germany Hansas is incredibly worthwhile as an endeavor. I'm very interested to see him just continuing to settle out into the...
I think Gorgo's doing a really good job this game. Delaying Germany will really put his team ahead, because like Germany, yes, he has land behind, he could still expand, but he doesn't have that much he could push Gorgo out. So once it's pushed, Gorgo has all this land to himself. So Gorgo is securing basically his mid-game as well by doing an early push, because Germany won't be able to settle north anymore because of Gorgo.
Germany has had no desire to settle north either, though. Did take Lady of Reeds and Marshes. These cities are going to grow fast. The floodplains are going to give production. Hey, thank you so much for the support. Hope you're enjoying the match.
That is true, but at the same time, the way I see it is Gorgo really needs to get land secured and like make sure that to keep both Germany and Chandragupta at bay. Because if he does so, his team will probably win. That's probably the mentality behind it.
I'm gonna have to wait and see. Tom is kind of sitting back here watching this happen. Looks like he's more interested in simming up himself. I'd like to see him grab this horse and just make a couple of horses, nothing too major, and just make a little flying column here up to the north and sweep in, just to do a pillage run, if nothing else.
He could go a few hours and take a city state as well, even though they buffed it in the upcoming. They already buffed it in the patch right now, but it's still doable with a few horses to take a city state if you want to.
Absolutely, and Ombre, no, Macedon was not banned this game. It simply wasn't picked.
Still in 3 city for Japan. He really needs to go for a full settler push. Maybe he was waiting for the card to get 50% off settlers. That's why he decided to sim. But I would like to see him on 4 or 5 cities pretty quickly.
Look at that, as iron in
This
the capital.
huge mountain range as well. I've seen the huge mountain range as well. It's going to really be a 1v1 for Korea against Pericles. Because the mountain range really prevents the other players from coming in that quickly.
There's a bit of a gap here, but it's all heavily wooded hills, and even horses are going to take a long time to get through. And at your question, Dunless, there's tons of good streamers out there in the CPL community, just streaming great Civ 6 games. They're always looking at their chat if you want to ask them questions. If English is not your main language, we have streamers for all these different parts of the world: Russian, French, Chinese. Hangul. We have tons of Koreans as well. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. We have people from all over the world. And they're all so helpful. If you watch their streams, ask questions, they're always more than willing to answer. I encourage you to stop by the CPL Discord. You definitely find some answers to your questions there. There are help and advice sections in the chat for chat channels specifically for people such as yourself that have those questions. I highly encourage you to stop by.
CPL already has seen a lot of new players in also lately, so even if you don't feel that you're like that good at the game, but you still want to try it out, the level of play is quite fun because like you get lots of new players in. You can find like players which have little to no experience and players which have insane amount of experience, and you can basically learn very fast at your rate, at your pace in the CPL if you're looking to frequently.
And Tom Brader does pick up Divine Spark as a Pantheon that did hit within the last 2 turns. And he is getting that second horse online. He has the builder over there already. There's more builders coming on too. He's really looking to sim through his lands, likely to chop all of these woods out and the deer to really get... Yep, there's the deer chop right there already.
And Tom really likes to play the culture game as well. And this Pantheon tells me that he'll probably try to do a great people strategy, or at least a culture strategy. So he might try to compete for those with those Acropolis or those like great merchants or great engineers from all those players.
It's going to be really interesting to see. And we have the Warriors coming back up here with the General that got picked up. So these are likely to turn into swords very soon. However,
he has what, 6 swords and a general. 6 swords and a general could really be a huge push on Korea.
But Korea's getting a general of their own. They're only 10 points shy, so one project around the corner, and they'll be matching strength. And the defender, it's just like Risk, guys. Defender wins and ties because those hills are incredible. These marshes are very detrimental. You don't want to attack. You don't want to have your units sitting in them, so that's going to be harder for Mysterious X to attack into. And look at all of these hills. Even the encampment there's in a good position to provide fire support. And if he gets walls automatically consider you to be on a hill for terrain advantage purposes, and he'll be able to shoot out into all of these terrain spots from the cities and encampments, and it's going to be so hard to push into this. Even with the general with the swords, because Korea has a stockpile of warriors as well, likely to go the same direction. Both teams have plenty of iron.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to manage to push in Korea, but I'm still like eager to see what he pulls out, because like I know like both players are very good, and so this kind of war often is to the move. So if there's like one slight move that is done wrong, you can really lose the whole front. So we'll see how it goes.
Plenty more units with archers coming to line up here to haze Germany a bit here. Look at that, just a warrior fortified there on the hill banana jungle. A scout fortified here, just harassing the hell out of the German player. And the era has flipped over. We're just going to pick a random. We're going to pick free inquiry because it's my favorite. But we're going to look and see what did all the other players land into. And it hasn't registered just yet, so we might have to wait until next turn to see that update. We are at turn 31. We're going to take a look at the demographics here. And it is blacked out because for some reason, Firaxis, please make that white border a bit wider so that we can actually read. 10.5 science a turn coming from Usmip's Gorgo. Stasic's Korean Empire is looking at 10.5 science a turn as well, and 12.1 from Skycry's Japan. Flipping the page over to TDF's team here, 6.7 science a turn from Von Holio's Germany, 11.7 from Tom Brader's India, and Mysterious X's Pericles Greece at 9.7. So things are a bit close. KC's team has the lead in science, but Tom's pulling enough science to get those key boosts for his team, and Mysterious X isn't too far behind. Taking a look over at the culture game now. Von Holio's Germany, 3.8. 9.8 for Tom Brader's India, and Mysterious X at 3.8 as well. So Tom really getting those key culture boosts for his team. KC's side of the coin, 4.3 a turn from Ustmip's Gorgo Empire of Greece. Stasic's Korea at 8.6 and 9.6 from Skycry. So all in all, KC is doing a better job of managing their economies, their macro game, if you will.
And remember that like anything early has an impact for the rest of the game as well. So if you get an advantage early, often you can snowball that advantage much quicker than the other players.
Absolutely. And speaking of advantages, Mysterious X hit swords first. Gorgo is being played by Ustmip, Carlos. But Korea did get a general as well. Hopefully has swords around the corner. He will not be able to hold this. He does need swords of his own to hold against these swords. Does have a lot more archers, though, to provide fire support. If this sword steps onto this cattle tile, it's going to get rained down on and is not going to have a pleasant day.
Does any of his teammates actually hit the sword tech, though? I'm not sure he has a sword tech boost, the iron working boost.
Unfortunately, we can't view their portraits on the tech tree, apparently. Firaxis, please fix.
Because I'm looking at Gorgo, it doesn't look like he made swords, and Japan doesn't look like he would do swords either.
So they've both got iron online. They know where the iron is. He hasn't improved the second iron, but he did improve the first. And because we can see the science note, he does have at the very least bronze working to see it. A builder coming out. General moves out. I question that decision. It looks like this sword did have the tortoise promotion for the +10 against ranged attacks. Got to see some swords upgrade here.
Swords upgrade actually quite strong. That's what makes them really viable. Because like if you didn't get a bonus experience, like, or if you didn't get that level 1 with the swords, would be pretty much dead instantly. But they are quite tanky in a way, because since you can promote them level 1 easily, it makes them pushers basically, a little bit like Cav. And with the general here with 3 movement, this terrain is actually like passable. So like you could step on a tile and then go on a march, or go on a march and then possibly like go somewhere else after. So it's an interesting play from Mr. Sex.
Korean player definitely in a spot of trouble. Was hoping to see him upgrade to swords as well, but this is not the case.
Though Germany is being pushed as well, honestly. So we'll have to see which one basically is hurt the most in those 2 push.
You think Aztec needs a buff? Have you ever gone around to your neighbors and or city-states and handed out flyers for the Aztec unemployment program? And take all their population and turn them into free builders by smacking them around with the Eagle Warriors?
Germany needs swords as well.
Yeah. They have the iron. I'm not too sure why they didn't go for the technology for it. Oh, Tom Brader got the 3rd classical general, and that's going to force the generals to the medieval era, and Aethelflaed will be next. All 3 generals snatched up quick as can be.
We don't always see that in a role A setting, because often the classical general cannot be used that efficiently since you cannot leave your borders. But I guess for this map, it's quite worth it because of the border proximity, basically.
I would really like to see this archer get back in that encampment before it gets smacked. Thank you.
It's gonna go to first moves once again. Last turn, Mr. Sex lost the first move. He tried to attack the warrior, which went on the hill. And he didn't hit the archer.
Unfortunately, Stasic needs every advantage he can get right now. However, just chooses to fortify the sword. Mysterious X not rushing things, getting all of his units up there. Still has more warriors he can upgrade as well, which I hope he does. Oh, look at that. 50 damage to the city right there.
If he manages to agree, actually he's in a good position to take the city. I think this rush could really well work. It's a shame it's a capital city because he cannot raise it, but still, if he manages to take it and keep it, then it puts him ahead of Korea.
Korea definitely on the back foot here, but so is Von Holio's Germany. Now he is holding on. He has a bunch of warriors here, archers to provide fire support. But these floodplains are going to become detrimental there. It's a -2 defense modifier. And pushing out hoplites is by no means easy, especially when there's all this jungle terrain. I mean, look at that. It's a +3 on its own, and God forbid they're on a hill, then it's a +6. Then they get the +10 for standing side by side that negates the 10 bonus that warriors get against anti-cav units.
What Germany needs right now is a few swords and 2 mass archers to try to pin down some hoplites, because you cannot really like hit them in the jungle where they're adjacent to each other. So Gorgo's doing a very nice play here, but I don't think he's going to manage to take a city. He doesn't have enough yet to really, and Germany did hit swords as well, so he should be fine. Like swords have a bonus advantage against anti-cav units. Anti-cav units have a bonus advantage against horses, and horses have an advantage against infantry units.
It's going to be interesting to see how things play out here. Hopefully, Japan is able to do what they need to do to support the team here, because, man, it's looking pretty grim for Stasic. That being said, I mean, Germany being pushed this far on the back foot like this is going to cause some problems for the mid-game. He can't get his builders out to chop tiles. He can't move freely. He has to heavily invest in all these military units because he has all these hoplites pretty much sitting on his face. More archers being made at home. I mean, conscription cards once the conscription card's slotted, there's no upkeep for these units. It's literally costing Usmip nothing to have these units stand around.
That is true, and you also gain experience from fighting. So that's probably what he's hoping to get here.
Ooh, does pick off one of the hoplites in the center, but he quickly remobilizes and reforms the line.
Well, Germany lost a warrior as well.
And Usmip's going to get culture on kill because of Gorgo's innate bonus. So there is really no such thing as an irrelevancy war for a Gorgo player. As long as he's killing units, he's getting culture. And with culture being so much more valuable now... Oh, look, Stasic does have swords online. Even has a horse act out. Could definitely run that horse around to try and kill that pesky archer.
Thing is, this whole time Germany cannot also build the Hanses, right? So even if he fails somehow the push, it's still a win because he's delaying Germany enough, so he cannot hit the production bonus he would get from his usual Hanses.
Definitely, but thankfully he did get good land for Lady of Reeds and Marshes, so as he gets more of these floodplains opened up, that's going to be a 3 food, 1 production tile. It's not amazing by any stretch, but it's certainly better than not having anything at all, especially with Hanses being delayed for another at least 15 turns, if not longer. That being said, another settler moving out for Usmip, really taking advantage of the space he's made to grab some more land. Tom's still sitting on 3 cities, no extra settler moving out just yet. Just focused on improving his land, it looks like, and really getting his internal economy established. Similar things can also be said of Skycry over here, but a horse and a chariot out. I wonder if we're going to see him go kill Jerusalem up here.
How does the city-state look so far? Is there anybody's suzerain of any city-state?
Not just yet, but Amani has been allocated to Mohenjo-Daro and Zanzibar. Skycry has applied Amani to Mohenjo-Daro, and Tom Brader actually assigned into Zanzibar. And Zanzibar is just above Ustmip, so if he suzerains it, these warriors are going to come in for a pillaging run. We're going to keep camera panned over on the war between Korea and Pericles here for the start of the turn, and then we'll hop right on over. However, KC has declared on Jerusalem.
I think it's going to settle down. I don't think he can push much more. There's now a horse in the Korean city. So the strength of the city is just too strong right now. He cannot really hit it. Only way he could keep pushing is if he gets a few more swords and somehow flanks the city on the right side by the river. That's the only way he could really push in there. But yeah, I saw it from the chat, like the samurai thing. It actually could be a thing. If Japan decides to go for a samurai play, it could try to invade Chandragupta. Because Chandragupta is coastal as well, so you would get +5 bonus from there.
The movement penalty of 2 there that I showed there for the unit makes it kind of sketchy as to whether or not to use it. But there is a lot of flat land there, so they could definitely make the move. And the big thing for them is not taking any combat penalties for being wounded. That's actually really huge in this game. Have more horses coming online here. Archers taking shots at units. Sword promotes. Yeah, I agree with that, Hustler. I'm not too agreeant with him going for Jerusalem right away. I think he should have just spammed the hell out of settlers for a while. Enjoyed his infinite city sprawl moment, because he definitely had the time. Still does, in fact. I mean, Tom can honestly just sim city away himself. He has plenty of land to do so. I'm rather surprised to see Tom not pushing settlers out like crazy. That being said, Von Holio is starting to push Usmip's forces back, but the damage is already done. The Hanses have been delayed. he's seen all of these floodplains that are going to really make Hansa Diamonds just not happen for the most part. So we're going to have to see some creativity come out of Von Holio there to see how good he can get these Hansas up to.
He still gets a good adjacency for commercial ops. So even if it's not the perfect setup for Hansas, he will get a decent amount of production and a decent amount of gold, which is all he needs really. Like he's already behind. As long as he keeps Gorgo at bay, he's actually like benefiting to his team, because if it's on par, then there's only Japan left to deal with, assuming Korea is also like pushed back by Mysterious X. I think both team have a really great game plan. So they're both. It looks like they're communicating a lot. They're talking to each other, and they know what other teammates are doing and what they're going for. And this is what I really like to see, because you can see that the Pericles push has an impact on the rest of the game as well, and that the Gorgo push has impacted the rest of the game as well.
And that's an excellent point, Yoshi, that the gold per turn from all this cocoa in Germany's lands, it's 9 just on its own, is going to be absolutely incredible for him.
So even if Germany falls behind, he could basically provide a goal for his team as well. So it's a good play, but at the same time, there's like a counter play to it.
Wow, Von Holio actually sending a trader out to Agra here of Tom Raider's city, so we could see some reinforcements rain down through the road. But Tom really doesn't have much in the way of military, just a few archers here. We do have a disconnect, though, and it is on the turnover. So we're probably going to need a relobby here. We're going to take a look and make sure units don't... Yep, units moved, things were bought. We are going to need a relobby. And we are going to have to go back to turn 35 since we did disconnect on the turnover. Mysterious X still crying about me hosting because he has a potato for a computer and can't first move.
What do you think is Tom's game plan right here? He has only 3 cities so far.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in that, to be honest. I was really hoping to see him push out a ton of settlers or make a very aggressive play in terms of just maybe a handful of horses to do a flanking play, but I guess he's just working on his internal economy to try and support his team's war.
I was looking at Mr. Sex, and the amount of gold he spent to push Korea, he couldn't have made it himself. He probably got gold fed up by Tom right now. So that might have not helped Tom to expand too freely.
That's true in its own right, for sure. Do have the lobby up. So what do you think about the choices some of the players made for their drafts? I mean, there was a large variety of things they could have chosen from. The bands were not that heavy by any stretch.
I personally think that the Chandragupta pick is a mistake. If he was solely looking to fit the rest of his team, because you cannot really use its declaration war bonus. And all in all, if you wanted to play India, Gandhi is a better choice most of the time, because you give war awareness to the enemies, which is very strong in the expansion with the loyalty. system. But for Pericles and Gorgor, I'm not very surprised to see them. They're played almost all the time. They get good spawn bias, they get heals, and their Acropolis really helps to control city states, and they're quite cheap as well to make.
I mean, I'm really surprised. Like, they had America in their draft, Mongolia. They had Arabia for a Mamluk timing, Brazil even.
Yeah, I'm very surprised as well. But at the same time, like we don't see those civs that often, so I'm quite happy to see it in the game as well. I mean, Chandragupta still has a few things going for him. He still has Varus, he still has his step well. So if he wants to play tall, or if he wants to go like more like a late timing, so if you want to go for a calf push or even like a culture play for a culture victory, it's doable with Chandragupta. It's just so late, so hard to pull out in teamers generally. So we'll see how it goes out.
So
At the same
lobby up,
time, this
Sarnath.
Korea.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
I kind of expected, since there are members from each team in the lobby already, they would tell their teammates the lobby was up. About that communication skill thing.
That is true. Something we still have to work on, I guess. I'm happy to see Korea though in the game because we don't see it that often. It's banned in many games in CPL, but while it is very strong, I don't find them to be strong to the point where they should be banned. And it's a very fun game style because you sit back, you put your Sewan online, you get a few wall shots, you get a few walls to defend your cities, and you're fine. You set up. So if you
Hey,
do you like a Korea or no?
Mysterious X failed to join. He erred.
Is that another relobby?
Yep, it's a go delete folders relobby. And I'll put up an image so that we're not all staring at the black screen of Oblivion. I don't like banning civs, to be honest, except with the exception of Scythia, Rome, and Australia. And the reason being is their bonuses are too strong.
Well, there's like a few civs that like are still ban worthy. I find like if you take Scythia because of their double like military unit, it's the same way same reason why we ban Venetian Arsenal often to prevent double boats being created. And there's some other like civilizations like Australia which have like such strong bonus almost all the time. So if you take, for example, like the extra housing or the extra adjacency from appeal, all very strong bonus from Australia. So I would still ban Australia.
Hey guys, what's up?
Yeah. There are people here. I'm rebooting, so I deleted my folders.
Welcome in, Amir.
So are we getting ready for match?
And it's already on.
It's up. Who won?
It's being played right now. We do a relobby, but it's been going on for an hour or two.
Alright, lobby is up.
Starting. So any news?
So far, it's a pretty tight match. So far, there's like two major wars. One is a 3v3. There's like a Germany against Gorgo war, which is milding down, but has impacted a lot of the Germany player. And the other major war is like Pericles against Korea, which is still ongoing. There's like right now, Pericles is pushing Korea.
It's definitely interesting. I mean, The mountain range is really preventing much access from either team to support each other as far as the Gorgo Germany and the Pericles Korea fronts. Chandragupta's India and Japan they're off in BFE and can pretty much sim freely, and it's honestly a pretty balanced map overall. It really is. Definitely one of the better ones we've seen.
Not only it's balanced, it's actually interesting as well. Like I've noticed, and maybe it's because I didn't have good maps before, but the new maps, the new map generation, I really like it because there's like new ways that the Pangeas are formed. It's not only in one landmass. Often there's like a little bridge over there, or little thing over there. While sometimes it has ups and downs. While in this case, I think it has brought a very good, interesting map. Like you see, like Japan is on a peninsula by himself, so he can sim freely, or he can utilize some of his bonuses if he chooses to. And Chandragupta, even though he's on the main main area, he's still like far enough that he can sim on his own.
It's going to be interesting to see what decisions the players make. Both teams have iron, both teams have horses.
I think we're actually going to see a slightly longer match than just a classical medieval match, honestly. Because I don't think neither war will have a conclusive decision to the game. And I think that overall we'll have to wait for Knights or even CAF to really see how the world shapes. And during this whole time, we'll most probably see constant war all the time as well, just because of the map generation.
Just waiting for Tom to ready up, and we'll be starting right back into this. Andrew Smith, apparently. Just Usmit now? Come on!
I'll be right back.
What the hell, why are people unreadying? Waiting on one more. Alright, here we are. We're loading right back into this. This is turn 35. So the players need to redo the war moves for that turn. They have to do the same moves they did before. So they're going to be working things back out, making sure that they do things in the right order to keep the integrity of the game. And we are going to be going forward. We couldn't load turn 36 because the disconnect, happened during the turnover. So if I tried to load that, it would cause a massive amount of desyncs to happen. So we're just going to have to redo turn 35. Unfortunate that it happens, but until it gets fixed, we are stuck with that. And there you are. You can see the beautiful loading screen. The blue banner, very pretty.
I'm back.
Welcome back. We're loading in right now.
Yeah, you chose France for the observer mode. Perfect.
Yes.
Get some notification.
Yes, I get the extra diplomatic visibility. That's why you pick France for this. And I do apologize again, it does take a little longer to load in than normal because the spectator mod has to initiate itself. And there we go, we are back in, game's paused. My daughter loves Pokemon, if you hadn't heard.
Delay as well. So like whatever you say, well, the image and whatever you say is like delayed by about 10 seconds.
Yeah, I know. It's because I stream through a third party, Restream.io, and it allows me to stream to multiple platforms at once. And it has a built-in delay as well.
Honestly, it's better as well because like it makes stream sniping much harder.
Alright, everybody is here, it looks like. Yoshi. See, you guys, Yoshi's one of those players that when the game doesn't go his way, he CCs before he gets last, as you can tell from Twitch chat. So basically, what he's saying is you should irrelevancy war me every game.
So we're like back about like one turn before, right?
Yes, this is one turn prior because we were going into turn 36 when the disconnect happened. And if I tried to load 36, we would just have a desyncing nightmare. Oh, we actually have a hoplite coming out for Mysterious X here as well that we didn't notice before. That'll be moving up to try and deal with some of these horses, but on its own, it's just going to get sniped down by archers.
He probably is building a second uplight in the front city. So whenever the second uplight is going to be ready, he's going to have two right there. Maybe in Pharsalos if he wants to establish a front on the other city of Korea.
Perhaps. And as to answer your question, spearmen aren't as bad as they used to be. They now benefit from oligarchy. They get the +4 combat strength now as well. The Agoj policy card that provides bonus production now applies to anti-cav units, which includes the spearmen now. So what made them bad before was not being affected by those things. Now that they are, very different ball game. And this spear being here is in case horses or Vario come running along the flatland here, and he'll already have some units in position. This is just acting as a spotter, although I'd like to see it on the hill instead. Or even this hill here. Choke up this point here, choke up that right there. Just literally enjoy the game.
A good thing as well is they added a new unit in Rise and Fall. They added a pike and shot. So it means that your spearman, you can upgrade it to a pikeman, and you can upgrade him to a pike and shot, which used to be like a big problem in the base game because there was no real counter to cavalry for Renaissance units. But nowadays, it's more worth to get the spearmen because you can counter cavalry push with them.
Oh, easily. You can even attack into the cavalry with them. They have a melee strength of 55 against the Cavs 62, but they get the +10. So that's a 65 to 62 off the start. That doesn't include support or flanking bonuses or terrain advantages. And pike and shot with some field cannons backing them up because it is one tech later into field cannons. Cavalry are never touching you. It's just not going to happen. But you have to have the units in position. They don't move as fast as cavalry do.
That's probably what he's anticipating, because that's the only threat really that could come his way. Even Varu push is too slow. Varus have 2 movement, so by the time they reach there, you would already have knights, or even maybe his own cav if he wanted to. And if he tries to swim them over, he needs the technology as well. He needs 2 extra technologies, which he probably didn't take yet. So, and it's not that clear. It would give him an advantage because Japan has an extra bonus fighting on the coast.
And even then, this galley's been skirting around for a little while. It went down through here, couldn't get past Mohenjo-Daro because it got the crabs, crab. But now it's going to go around the north. And once it gets around to this bend, because it's just going to explore through the coastal waters, it's going to find... Well, he already knows Tom's here because of the scout. But he's going to be seeing exactly what Tom's working with. And even then, it's eventually going to skirt its way along the northern part of the map there and just continue exploring the coastal of the Pangea. And they're going to find any of the city-states that are pocketed away that they just couldn't scout to.
He could also just sit it in his other city and upgrade it to a caravel to do like a small caravel push if he wants some time, just to annoy him.
That's another good point. It'll help get the surround on Jerusalem because it will jeopardize the coastal tile. And that will allow the encirclement for the siege. I am really curious why they declared war on Jerusalem when he didn't have units up there to take the city. I'm assuming he's wanting to farm experience, but if that's the case, he should have had this fortified on the hill.
Maybe they wanted to refresh the quest as well. Sometimes players do that. They declare war and then peace after 10 turns to get a new quest. So if it's the case, that means they want to have Jerusalem on their side and they're planning to do some religious play and not conquer it. But I'm not sure it's the right play. This war though is going pretty heavily. It's the push from Greece is actually quite efficient because he managed to grab both sides of the river, and now he has swords basically like threatening Korea all the time. But he doesn't have enough to really take any cities from Korea, I think.
Definitely needs a backup plan for this.
If he hits crossbows, which I doubt he will hit that soon, he could potentially push. Crossbows and swords have a really good timing, and knowing he didn't go for horsemen at all, maybe he's belining crossbows right now. And if he has 2 or 3 upgraded archers, he could potentially pin down a few swords, a few horses from Korea. And general also affects crossbows because it's a classical general.
Yep. Looks like the players are arguing over war moves. Alright. Alright. Easiest way to prove this, I'm going to put a small break in the stream which will force this to a past broadcast, and I'll be reviewing that. I'll restart the stream right away. But when it's chucked into a past broadcast, it'll let me look over it, and I'll be able to make the judgment on that. So you're going to see a small brief in the screen, so please stand by.